Are you dreaming of quitting your regular boring job and becoming a game developer? Don't worry, I'm not gonna sell you some course for $3,000 on how to earn 10K a month as a game developer working 4 hours a week, but I do want to talk to you about how do you get into the games industry when you don't really have any prior experience in it. Why listen to me? I used to work as a data center engineer. So I used to create networks basically for, data centers, very boring, paid quite well, but I was sick of that job and I pivoted to being a game developer. I also pivoted to content creator with these videos, but I feel like I do have some experience with the entire process of, going into a completely new industry after already some prior experience in a different career and honestly making it somewhat successful. Nothing too crazy right now, but we're getting there. And I'm bringing you guys along with me for the ride. So let's talk a bit about how do you do the same thing that I have done. I had no experience. I knew a little bit how to program, but honestly, I don't program in my day-to-day job anymore now. I had no experience in 3D modeling, no experience in art, nothing in game design. I used to play a bunch of games, but not really that much of a variety, just mainly Call of Duty, which is not an indie game and not really related to what I'm doing now. But still, here I am. And the first thing I want to say is, it's gonna be a hard leap. It's not going to be easy in the beginning because, it is basically like graduating all over again and just barely getting started in a job, except now you have the wrong diploma or the wrong previous experience to apply at regular game dev companies. That's no problem. The only requirement is you're probably going to have to go indie because nobody is going to hire someone with no prior experience, with no resume really that is related to game development or no prior schooling. But that shouldn't hold you back in just starting your own little studio and making the best of it. Because I want to start with one of the big advantages that you have, and that is you have prior experience already. Maybe not in game development specifically, but you have experience in an industry. This can be really valuable in just figuring out what game am I going to make, can also give you a leg up into what makes your game unique maybe, or can just help you with solving. And I think a great example of this is in Forge Industry. Our bot finding algorithm is actually kind of based upon a routing algorithm that traditional data center routers use, OSPF. We kind of use the same logic to avoid collisions there. Would a regular game developer have made something similar? Maybe, but for me, we immediately had the answer to how are we gonna solve this problem of, our workers colliding with each other. Maybe you come from a very specific domain, I don't know, real estate, something really boring. Well, that's the perfect background to make a game such as House Flipper. It may seem what does this matter? But these games, usually they require domain knowledge in whatever you're doing. If you are an oil rig operator or whatever, for all I care, make oil rig simulator, make it somewhat realistic and you'll probably already have a market. And you'll actually have more credibility because you have previous experience in operating oil rigs compared to just making games and then reading a book on oil rigs once or being just let's assume this is how an oil rig works. Also, because you're going to be older and because you're going to be shaped by more traditional workplaces, this is also greatly going to improve how good you are going to be talking with publishers. Because publishers, you just have an older look to yourself. You look like you know what you're doing more and you have more of the soft skills of having a firm handshake when you go into a meeting. It may sound really dumb, but this helps a lot compared to the scrawny 20-year-old kid who just graduated from university and he has a great idea he's going to pitch and he's going to change the world of game dev. Publishers, they see dozens of those, but they don't see someone like you who already has years of experience in planning, making good proposals and having a realistic view upon money and things like that. That can give you a massive leg up as well. These are already some advantages, so don't feel too discouraged that you're jumping into the unknown, because the fact that you're going into the unknown is resolved a bit by that prior experience. Now, I do want to say you are still very much going to be overwhelmed. There's so much you're going to have to learn, so many things you aren't going to be prepared for, and you are probably going to have to learn a lot and be stressed and maybe have some sleepless nights, and things may look they're bringing you down a bit, but still, game dev is probably the solution. I made a video as well about why are you a game developer, so having a very strong reason to drive you through those low moments. And I think especially if you are transitioning from a regular job, maybe after 10 years of working, you may have a very strong why, such as escaping a toxic work environment or a bad commute, things like that, that will also help you in driving yourself to keep on working and to keep performing. Most likely you'll also be starting as a solo developer, which is playing game dev on hard mode, for which I wish you the best of luck. I know you can do it if you have a good why, and we have plenty of videos on this channel as well aimed specifically at solo developers, so take a look at those as well. What I would suggest is also don't immediately jump into a big game, but participate in game jams first. This is also good to do if you're still working your regular job, because they are usually very time limited. It's like one weekend, and it will allow you to learn what are your strengths and your weaknesses in game development already. Because you have such a short period, maybe you'll find out that, hey, actually I'm pretty good at pixel art, or I'm pretty good at 3D modeling, or I'm a pretty decent coder. It can also tell you which things should you improve upon. Maybe look at hiring someone the moment that you get started, and can save you a lot of time once you actually quit your main job, break into the games industry, and just go at it on your own. Another big thing that I want to tell you to do is engage in your local indie community. No matter which country you live in, even if you live in like, I don't know, Saudi Arabia, I've talked to some people there, there's still an indie community. It's usually not that big, but there is still one, and you should try and get as active with it as possible. Some great places to look at are like Eventbrite or Meetup, depending on where you are. Just look up like gamedev or indie, and you'll probably find something, like an event at least. Go there because it's going to teach you a lot about like your country's industry. When we started, nobody knew us and nobody cared about who we are as like Bite Me Games, the studio. We just booked one of the booths at like our country's gaming convention and just showcased our game. And nobody had heard of us before, and people just came up to us and were like, who are you? We've never seen you anywhere. You don't go to like any of the regular game dev related schools, things like that. This way you can learn a lot by engaging with these communities, because often there may be some government subsidies that you wouldn't have known about otherwise, or some coaching programs, things like that, that you could get more information about. Publishers, accelerators, incubators, all of those things. Having some people in the community who've gone through it before will save you a lot of time as well. And honestly, you're probably not going to be that unique. Probably some other guy a few years ago also quit his job and managed to make a company. He'll also be able to probably give you much more aimed answers to whatever questions or problems you may be dealing with than just me, some bloke talking to a YouTube video. What I also think is like a little sub point that you should do here is make yourself memorable. One of the things that we can do really well is have this engaging story that makes sure that people remember us. When I go to that community, we have like this very dreamy story of, you know, we booked that booth at the gaming convention with only 2 months notice, and we had to make a demo, so we started crunching on it, but it was an awesome experience. And you know, that's the indie dream that we're living there. People remember us by that story. Don't just be your average Joe, like, oh hey, barely talk, has like a weak handshake and like just stand silent. No. Talk to people, show them that you have experience, maybe you can help them out, maybe they can help you out, and get some contacts, because you're going to need every bit of help you can get in becoming more of a full-time game developer. And then probably the biggest advantage you are going to have over like college graduates who have more skills than you is you're gonna have money. Sweet, sweet money. You're probably going to have some savings. Maybe you've even paid off your house already if you're like a bit older. This is godly. This allows you to just outperform and outcompete most of the young startups who maybe have student loans or barely have any savings. You know, they're still trying to see if they can get a house as well or an apartment. They're screwed in this economy, by the way, so you're gonna beat them regardless there. What that runway allows you to do is it lets you fail a bit. It lets you play around, whereas these other younger studios, you know, they usually can't sustain themselves yet, because you need an initial amount of funding to make your first game, because you won't be making any money for that period, and you can go to publishers, but you can't just pitch an idea to publishers. You need to have a prototype already, or even a vertical slice, before they'll even give you any money. So what you see with a lot of these younger studios is, you know, they're working work for hire a few days a week, or they're also working at another company, or they're only working at another company, and then in like their off hours they're making their own indie games. You can dominate them by just not having to care about that, by only having to care about making your game. So what I suggest is make your runway as long as possible. See however much you have saved, look into how much do I on average spend in a month. Look at, okay, assuming that I'm not making any money anymore, what is like my minimum expenses to just live? So let's say you don't go out to like restaurants all the time, and see how long can I just sustain that. Ideally, have at least 6 months of runway, and if you can go up to 2 years, that's even better. And this will allow you so much to just try out stuff, learn, make some mistakes, but still on time, figure out what you're going to do and make a successful game. Because that's the most important part. Making games is hard, but you're gonna need to be persistent. Your first game, probably going to barely get any sales. Second game, probably also not gonna be that much. But both of these games are going to teach you so much about not just making your game, that's the easy part, but about marketing it, supporting games, dealing with all the boring financial stuff. I can guarantee you, if you make multiple, like not game jam, but like actual like somewhat polished games, by the third or the fourth one, you're going to know what to do. You're going to have much more experience already. You're going to know how to set up the Steam page, how to maybe look into advertising or make some YouTube videos on the side, all of these random things to help make your game more of a success. You're gonna know how to price and all of these things, probably have some relationships with publishers as well. All of these things are greatly going to help you, but you need runway in order to be able to afford them. If you have that strong why, that strong reason to be a developer, you're probably going to make it. I have pretty good confidence in you. At least if you watch all videos that we make, I do feel like the quality we put out should put you on the right path to somewhat success. Are you currently considering like quitting your job or just dreaming of it? Let me know in the comments down below. I love to interact with you guys. If you're new around here, we're a game development studio consisting of multiple people who all of us didn't have any experience with game development before. We decided to make a studio and we're making videos as well about the things we learn, make things about game development in general, and just show some behind the scenes of a real indie studio. If that's something that interests you, be sure to head down below and subscribe, as it really helps us out in just knowing that you guys care about the content we make, and in exchange you get these videos twice a week delivered to your inbox. That's all I had to say. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!